What is happening, people, and welcome back to Scarfy Spurs Talk. Something a little bit different today. We've got a bit of a Spurs transfer news show and discussion. I'm joined by admin at Scarfy Spurs Talk. Lois, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for having me on here. It's quite short notice, but I'm excited.
It is. Apologies for that, but thank you very much for agreeing to come on. If people are new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It's free to do so. It helps the channel grow and give your feedback on what you make of this as well, because we're always interested to improve. So let us know in the comments below. We'll crack straight into it, Lois. I want to start with Min-Hyuk because he played today. In a 4-2 win for his club in the K League. He got a goal and assist. So does it excite you what he's doing in pre-season? We see his numbers as well in 2024. Are you excited for him to join Spurs?
I am actually a little bit excited. I know that it is. A lot of people would say it's the K League and it's nowhere near the Premier League, which it is. I agree with that. But he looks good. He's 18, a lot of age to develop. He looks great. I saw his goal. I saw a clip of his goal. I actually posted it out today. It was fabulous. Really well taken goal. He also got a good assist as well. I am quite excited. I know he joins in January, so there's a bit of a wait to actually have him at our club. But
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen some clips. I've seen his stats. He looks like a good addition.
Yeah, he certainly does. What do you think he can bring to Spurs? Obviously, it's hard to say, as you say. Joins in January, 18-year-old. What exactly can he play? Because we know he's a winger. Can you see him in January coming straight to that first team? Is it a case of is it backup offering competition? How do you kind of view it?
I don't think he'll be straight into our team. I mean, we have loads of wingers. Obviously, we have Son. We have Manuel Suleiman's getting back in there as well. Timo Werner on that left hand side, and on the right hand side, you obviously have Brennan Johnson, Dejan Kulusevski. So there's a lot of competition for him to get a place. But I think he could be acted as a squad player. He could be loaned out. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't surprise me. Not in Tottenham Hotspur, if he was to be loaned out, that wouldn't surprise me. But I think just add a bit of squad depth, and I think with Ange, this is a project. He's a project player. I think give it 3-4 years. I think he could be a starting left winger for us.
No, that's very good. That's good to hear. Also, a lot of people mention you kind of off the pitch and what he could bring as a South Korean. Do you think the club part of it is, of course, he looks like a really good player, but is part of it thinking, Son's not getting any younger. How can we keep those South Korean fans here? Because it would make sense, wouldn't it?
It would. I think Son is a massive driving factor financially of this club. We all know it. We all know how many South Korean people and fans follow us just because of having Heung-min Son there. Because he's over in South Korea, we all know that he's like a legend. He's one of the most popular people over there, and so he's a massive financial aspect to us with Levy. And obviously, the amount of shirt sales he generates from South Koreans is loads. We all know that. Tickets, we all know every Spurs game you go to, you probably see a few South Koreans, which is nice to see. Some people from other walks of the earth come in. I see it all the time when I go, and so yeah, obviously Son isn't going to be here for many years. So Daniel Levy has obviously signed him. So as soon as Son maybe retires or leaves our club, you've got him coming through, and so the South Koreans are staying with him as well.
Yeah, I do completely agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. People obviously will try and find negatives with a lot of things, but it brings money to the club. And hopefully, if it's done properly, it's reinvested back into the first team. Whether you think it has been or will be is up to you. But that is certainly the way that I tend to look at it. I could be wrong, but I believe that the South Korean age works differently here over in England. I think that makes Son a year younger than he actually is. I learned that on a stadium tour not long ago. So that's promising. Yeah, hopefully an extra year left in him. I want to bring up a comment from Nick as we move on. He's saying maybe this is too early, but expectation in Europe. So yeah, Lois, what do you make of this? Let's talk about Europa League. How far can Spurs realistically go if we treat it seriously and we bring in enough depth in this window?
I mean, it's Tottenham Hotspur. We haven't won a trophy in ages. We all know that. But theoretically, if we gave it our best shot, we can win it. We can do that. I mean, obviously, we will be favourites or top 2-3 favourites to win it, and that's just how it works. I understand. Obviously, Man United are also in it as well, so us two, as well as Man United, will probably be favourites to win it. I think we can. It's obviously depends how seriously we do take it, as you said, because I remember a few seasons ago we lost to Dynamo Zagreb in a round of 16, I believe, because we didn't take it seriously enough. and that was a great opportunity to win it. I think we can win it. I really do. And we obviously do need to bring in depth. We had the most injuries in the Premier League last season, and we weren't even in the European competition. So the depth players like Timo Werner, who people are slating, needs great depth for the Europa League. It is too early to say because obviously we've only signed Archie Gray this summer so far, but we can win it.
Yeah, I think if we treat it seriously, we can. Yeah, win it. I look at slot. Yeah, I look at I don't know, right back, left back, and go look. We need cover if we want to be able to compete and treat both seriously. Because realistically, it should be a top 4 charge and going strong in the Europa League. I do think that's realistic. But you mentioned there in terms of the damage that Europe can do to other teams. Look at Man United, Newcastle's a prime example. They gave everything as you would. Haven't been in the Champions League for ages. They nearly got through, had a penalty decision given against them in PSG, they draw the game, they go out, etc. But then they're left with so many injuries and not focus on the league. And it always feels like a backlog from them. Yeah. So that is the side to it. So you've got to equip yourself in the right way. But also that Zagreb game. I mean, I think we won the first leg at home, didn't we? 2-0, and it was away. And I watch every game, but not one part of me thought we were going out tonight. And, we knew that, it's Tottenham. Yeah, we won't make it easy. We won't, probably not going to beat them 3 or 4-0. We might concede early and you just don't know. But I never even thought that, didn't even cross my mind that we could go out. It just shows you that there's always an upset, I suppose. But we don't want to repeat that, do we? That's for sure. No chance. But the next player I want to move on to is Ryan Sessengon, who's set to join Fulham. Fabrizio Romano posted a couple of days ago that agreement is in place as Fulham beat competition from several other Premier League clubs for his signature. So, firstly, reflecting on his time at Spurs, Lewis, what do you make of it, and what do you kind of because he didn't really work. Let's be honest. What do you put that down to? He's got a lot of injuries, a lot of different managers.
Injuries, I think, was playing a massive factor. It was a shame because I had high hopes for him because I saw what he'd done at Fulham when he was developing there when he was a young player, and I thought we had a good left back on our hands. I really did, but it didn't. It just didn't work out. It really didn't. I think I remember I saw a stat. I can't remember it, but I think we only made about 50 appearances for us, maybe even around that. I could be wrong. He didn't make many at all, and he was here, and he had one contract with us, 4 or 5 year contract, and it's just been released him. That shows you how much of a failure it was. It's not down to him personally, but stuff like this doesn't work out. I thought he was good. I remember was it Antonio Conte got a run of games, but then injuries, and then it just didn't work out. But I think if you're a Fulham fan, I'm sure Barney's in the chat, I think you would be a little bit happy about it. I think surely, because I think he's a good player, and if Marco Silva, their manager, gets what they can get out of Ryan Sessengon on a free transfer, it's a good sign for them.
I think it is, and it's like for them, it's like us getting Dele Alli back. He might not be the same player he was, but it's still that love to a player that gave it everything and really succeeded in a shirt. A fan favourite is Ryan Sessengon at Fulham as well, so that's what it kind of I think it feels like. But no, I'm with you. I think that Sessengon, he was very unlucky. It was lots of injuries, and ultimately it was a failure in the end. Whatever you kind of put that down to. But how do you think he'll get on at Fulham? And do you think he'll get many injuries? How do you think his career will kind of pan out, or season for Fulham?
I don't know if we'll get too much game time because we all know that Robinson, the left back, American left back, he had a great season last season, and it'll be hard to knock off his place in that team. So I don't see him getting many starts. Maybe in the Carabao Cup or FA Cup he'll start, because he was rarely in the squad, so that's still an improvement on that. I think he's just got he'll get limited minutes, and he's just got to fight, give it his all, and maybe he can work to overcome Robinson in that spot. But I think he's a good addition to that team, and I'm sure he'll get some good minutes if he's not obviously riddled with injuries. Hopefully he's not, because I do quite like him, and I hope he has a good season at Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham fan Barney said he's a firm fan favourite, and I think the right move. I think he'll slot into our system, possibly start off the bench. I think it will be the bench, but I think it is that kind of cover and that opportunity for Robinson to rest. But also, I think he can play on the left-hand side. I think that maybe it was a mistake, and the system we played under Conte, playing him left wing back, I think asking Sessengon to defend isn't getting the best out of him. Might have led to his injuries. I don't know. But the thing that baffled me a little bit, without not being disrespectful, because I still think there's a player in there, but the fact Fabrizio Romano said several other Premier League clubs are interested. I mean, I wouldn't have expected that for a player, as you said, hasn't played many minutes at Spurs, has got a few injuries. What do you think other clubs, if we had to guess, what other clubs do you think could be interested? I'm thinking about newly promoted teams, maybe.
Yeah, I would say maybe a mid-table clubs, maybe. I obviously we can't pinpoint clubs exactly, but I would say maybe thinking of clubs that come up, maybe like a Leicester, maybe might have been in for him, but maybe a club like Leicester, a club maybe like Southampton might have been in for him. Obviously, you don't know, but I'm sure clubs around that mid-table or newly promoted would have been in for him, because a player like Ryan Sessengon to come to a club that's trying to fight to stay in the Premier League, he's a good player for them, and I'm sure he would add a lot to a club like Leicester or Southampton. But I think he'll still add a lot to Fulham. Obviously, they finished about mid-table last season, right on that mid-table slot, and I'm sure they could do the same again, and it will add to that team.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And moving on to another comment from Stephen, big up Stephen if you're still here, who says, is it possible for either Ivan Toney or Jonathan David to compete with Richarlison, or does Richarlison need to be sold to sign a new striker? So firstly, Lois, if you were Daniel Levy, what would you do if you could choose between Ivan Toney, Jonathan David, and obviously with Richarlison as well? What would you do firstly? And we'll get on to what we think will happen, but what would you do first?
Firstly, I would see how much a player of either them two would cost us. I mean, we have the reports with Paul O'Keefe that we're actually in for 3 players and we're trying to fast track it, but the clubs on the other side are actually making it go a little bit longer. One of my guesses is that it is Ivan Toney. It's just my best guess. I think Ivan Toney is rumoured to be about 50 million pounds, which is a lot of money. But obviously, a club like Spurs, the amount of, with the concerts, the NFL, ticket costs, and how much we make on match day, we can get that. We can do that just from that revenue. I don't think we'd actually need to sell Richarlison to buy an Ivan Toney. But I think I wouldn't sell Richarlison. It depends on the offer. Because if a Saudi club comes in for 55, 60 million, as it's what's rumoured to be seen, I think you have to sell him. But I would happily try and have Toney and Richarlison coexist with each other if it's financially possible. If it's not, then yeah, you got to sell Richarlison.
I agree, and I hope it would be with the new stadium. I think that we should start to feel the impact with that and the money that's generated. Outside, like I went to a Pink concert myself, and very keen to do the under the stadium go kart and little things like that. That I'm totally for. If we see benefits for the South team, I want to know when that proper comes in. If you like, when we pay quite high prices for tickets and like season tickets as well. But what do you think will happen? Because I think that if Saudi, Spurs could and Daniel Levy could be really clever here and go to play Saudi a little bit, and because we know that they've got a lot of money and they tend to look at Salah, they want to pay 250, 300 million. I don't know why Liverpool didn't accept that. I said at the time, and even looking back now, it just doesn't look good. But I think we could, be honest with you, I think we can get 60, 65 million for him because it's Saudi Arabia. So, what do you think will happen? Because I can see Richarlison leaving the club if that is the case.
I can see him leaving if that is the case, because we all know players like, I'm not saying players like Richarlison, but a lot of players are in football now are financially motivated. And we all know that if I'm Richarlison, or if you are Richarlison and you're at Spurs for, I don't know how much we're paying him. Probably about 100, 150,000 maybe. That's what I would guess it at in that price band. We all know Saudi have so much money, they'll pay him a lot more than that. And he seems like a player that would do it. I think if Saudi League, like we know, that have this money, have a lot of it, players like Moussa Diaby, he had 1 season in the Premier League, and Villa signed him for 50 million, and then he had 1 season. It wasn't a great season by his standards; it was pretty poor actually. Al Ittihad came in 70 million, and obviously they made 20 million profit on that Aston Villa. I'm sure if Saudi League come in for 60 million, he's got to go. And I'm sure if that does happen, he will go. And like the comment there, I think Will Lancashire is a great player that can come in and be that backup to an Ivan Toney if we sign him.
Absolutely. Jimmy Jay's got straight to the point that said sell Richarlison and sign Ivan Toney. Jay, is it just a factor sell Richarlison regardless of the price, or is there a price that you take for him? So let me know, Jay, about that in the comments below. And anyone else? Jack Turner, big up in the comments, he says if we can get 40 million from Saudi, we have to do it. So injury prone, get Toney. And I do agree, and I like Richarlison, but we see he's injured for tomorrow, for example. He isn't a player that's going to stay fit all the way through the season. You can't rely on someone when you're in Europe like that. And by all means, if it's financially possible, keep him as a backup striker. He's happy for that, to compete. I'm all for that. But we can't be going into the season with, either Richarlison or Son down the middle. I love Sonny, by all means, competition on that left, but not down the middle. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think that it'd be really interesting to see how it unfolds. If you could choose, Lois, obviously, I give you a choice of a couple of strikers earlier. If it's totally down to you, obviously, within kind of budget, what would be the striker that you'd try and sign from a Spurs point of view this summer?
If it was, I will go in budget. If it wasn't in budget and Spurs decided that they were going rogue, I would sign Alexander Isak, but we know they're not going to do that because Newcastle deem him untouchable. We won't sell him for at least 100 million. Spurs aren't signing anyone for more than 50, 60 million, I'd say. So within budget, it's got to be Ivan Toney. He's English as well. Adds a homegrown player to our team as well, which is nice as well. Players who are English that get into your starting 11, players like a Maddison. They add a lot to your team because they're English, homegrown. Obviously, you need to go by those rules of homegrown players. Tony's one of them. I think reports saying his heart is set to join Spurs. And if that is the case, we just got to go in for him. We've got to pay it 45, 50 million. I think he's a great target man. I think he'll be good for our system. And he's just a natural goal scorer. He's clinical. Something like, I don't think we have. Players like Richarlison, they're not as clinical as players like Toney. And that's a key cutting edge between finishing top four and maybe winning the Europa League, then falling short in the Europa League and falling short of top four, is that having a clinical striker. And that's something we need.
Yeah, it is something we need. And ultimately, there were so many times last season, wasn't there, that we couldn't get that or didn't get that second goal. Like, Wolves is the prime example at home. We weren't great that day. We get the second goal, we take a 2-0 win, or if it comes back, a 2-1 win, and we move on. But we didn't have anyone clinical enough to get the second goal. So, we concede, and then you concede again. And I just think that's a prime example. Actually, Wolves home and away was pretty much exactly the same story. And that's the frustrating. That's 6 points lost there. And that's the difference. Well, we would have been, wouldn't it? The difference between fourth and fifth. So Champions League and Europa League. So that's just fine margins. But a player I want to touch on next, Lois, is Pedro Neto. You hear a lot of the fan base talking about him. We know he can play right and left side. So for that reason, it does seem to make sense. So we talk about that front line needing improving when he covers two positions. Would you like to see Pedro Neto at Tottenham? Obviously a concern, isn't it? His injury record, especially towards the second half of the season with Wolves.
I don't know, because I think actually the winger situation at Spurs is actually, I think it's quite good. I mean, I think we have a lot of wingers. We have a lot of players that can play in those winger slots. I think if I had to choose positions to invest in, wingers may be down the list a little bit. I think we need a striker a lot more than a player like a winger. So I think we need to sign a striker next, and that has got to be what we get next to make sure that is touched upon. But if we have spare cash and Daniel Levy is happy with it, I wouldn't mind seeing him at Spurs. I think he's good. I think he's a good player. And as you say, he's versatile, covers the left and the right, which is something with being in Europa League is something you would really like to have. And I think he is a good player. I'm not sure how much Wolves would want for him. Probably about 40 million, maybe. Which is
they might want a bit more. I think it'd be something between 40 and 60.
50 million. Which I think if it is on the upper end of that band of 60 million, I don't think he's worth that. I wouldn't do that. But no, I think if it's 40, 45 million, then I wouldn't mind going in for it. I've seen a lot of our fan base talking about Federico Chiesa, and I don't want him because I think he has not been good since the Euro 2021, and I don't really want to go in for a player that's not really having the best of times since a few years ago. But if Pedro Neto was wanting to come and we had the money, I'll go in for him.
Okay, fair enough. Lewis says, big up Lewis, who says Angie's system will obliterate his hamstrings. That is the worry, I suppose. It is a high
Yeah,
intensity
it
system,
is.
but if they can sort out Neto's injury, I don't know if his injuries are in similar positions or not. We'll have to see. But I would personally like him. And Rick said, I'd rather have Neto for half a season than Werner stinking out the place. That kind of leads me on though nicely, Lois. What do you make of the signing, if you like, on loan again from Timo Werner? Where do you kind of stand? Because you've got some fans who are going, "Oh, great, yeah, that's excellent news. It's free again, and etc." It's just another option to have with being in Europe as well. Or you've got the other end going, it's a waste of space, it's a waste of the wage book that could be spent. It could be trusted to youth or go and sign someone. So where do you kind of stand with it? Do you understand it at all?
No, I'm for it. I don't obviously I don't know why fans are against it. I know he obviously isn't the best player. Everyone knows that. But it's depth. It's depth. He's not as bad as people say it is. Obviously, the agreement is that we get him on loan for another season, and then his asking fee is now down to 9 million at the end of it, which is not a lot at all. I wouldn't go on to buy him, but I think it's smart, especially being obviously in the Europa League. You need a lot of depth. So now, if you think about it, if we were to go and sign Tony and have him up front, and Son is pushed out to the left, you now have Timo Werner, Manuel Solomon, and Son that can play on the left hand side. That's 3 options for a winger, which is good to have. It's obviously good to have. You wouldn't want to be halfway through the season and Son is injured or Son's having to play up front because Tony's injured. You're playing Manuel Solomon on the left, and then Manuel Solomon gets an injury because we saw how long he was out for injury last season, and then by all means, Timo Werner's playing. Then everyone in the fan base is going, "Oh, why did we sign Timo Werner? We actually need him now." So he could easily be used. And he could easily be a player factor in our season. So it's people who don't want him and saying he's a waste of space. Somewhat down the line of the season, they may be regretting that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, and we'll bring up Stephen's comment. Stephen says there needs to be a new left and right winger. Neto and Eze makes sense, but it's not possible because of the money. Fair enough. I think it could be, but whether it will happen or not, I don't know. But fair enough. Lois, for you, we talk about that forward line needing improvement. I think you're in agreement with me on that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what does it have to be a number 9? Is it more a case of the winger? Because I've seen a lot of people go, we need to strengthen the wingers and the striker will be okay. But I still think you need a clinical striker. I mean, it's hard to get someone like Harry Kane, even someone like an Ivan Toney, or I know we're not going for Alexander Isak, but someone of that presence where they're going to consistently get you 25, 30 goals a season. So what's more important position-wise in that front three?
It's got to be a striker because Son doesn't cut a striker anymore. I've said it last season. He doesn't cut it up front because he hasn't got the physicality of matching a player. Like if you come up, especially against a club like Man City, Liverpool, if you see Son, because especially with, the way we play football, the amount of crosses we cut into the box last season, and the only player there is Heung-min Son. It got very frustrating to me because we're crossing it into a box with you have Son and then Ruben Diaz or Son and Van Dijk. They're never going to win that aerial battle. You never see Son going up for a header. He's not a natural striker. He's a winger. We can't be having him up front. We need to be on the left, and we need a striker. That is the utmost we need. I think wingers we can improve in quality, but I think quantity doesn't actually need to be improved on because we have so many wingers. Say, I think because obviously you have Son, Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, Manuel Solomon, Werner. You have 5 wingers. That is a lot of wingers. That's a lot of players to cover 2 positions. So to add in another winger, like to say Pedro Neto, I think it's wasted money when we desperately need a striker.
Yeah, I think the striker should come first because, I love Sonny. A lot of comments have said this, and I do agree. He should be playing every minute next season. I don't think that's right for him. I don't think it's right for the team. And I don't think really his best position is number 9. Actually, yeah, before we do move on, Lois, where do you think Son's best position is? Because obviously, a lot of us go, oh, he's playing the number 9, and then he's not good at the number 9. But, he got a hat-trick against Burnley, really, really good. And then wasn't great at other times. So where do you see his best position being? I don't look at him and go, he's a physical presence that a number 9 has.
It's winger. His position is 100% a winger, left winger. So it always has been. It always will be. I mean, we saw, I think, was it under Mourinho or Conte? I can't remember. He won the Golden Boot, and he was playing left wing the whole season. And he's a left wing. He always has been. I think there has been moments when he has been number 9 where he was really, really good, as you say, like Burnley. And after that, I remember myself saying to my family, "You have to start this guy every game at number 9." And then a few games later, I was probably saying to them, "Stick him back out on the left wing." It's me. I'm quite reactionary like that. I think coming to the end of last season, when a lot of our players tailed off a bit, he was one of those players that tailed off massively at number 9. And I can't remember what game it was, but there was about 20 minutes at the end of the game where he shifted out to the left and he looked so much better and more confident on the ball. So I think he's got to play there, and he's got to play left wing because he's not got the strength or the physical presence to play as a striker.
No, I don't think he has. Next player is Emerson Royale because, in the last 48 to 72 hours, there's been progress. The most recent post from Fabrizio Romano is that Milan had new contacts with Tottenham in the last 48 hours or so, and there's been, but there's still almost like a €3 million difference between fee offered and proposal received. Personal terms agreed back in May. Wow, that's a long time ago. Talks still ongoing between the two clubs. Yeah, that is Fabrizio Romano. Lewis, we've heard reported fees from AC Milan that the second bid looks like. It does look quite low. So do you think Tottenham are right to hold out for a little bit more for Emerson? Because I'm one of these fans that goes, look, we have to move these players on. But at the same time, if AC Milan are offering 6-7 million for Royale, it's a little bit disrespectful, isn't it?
It is disrespectful. I mean, we all know Daniel Levy. He wants obviously he's not happy unless he gets this amount of money paid from him or a profit. We paid 20 million for him in 2022 or one, can't remember. We paid 20 million for him, and I don't think he's been that bad to justify, because he's still, I think, 24 or 23. He's still quite young. Yeah, he is. So the 7, 8, 9 million is a bit insulting. I think if there's a 3 million difference, I think you just got to hold your hands up and just got to get rid of him, because I can't see him having any impact in our team. I don't think he's good enough. He's never going to get in right back position to me, because I think Pedro Porro and hopefully Jed Spence will be there next season. I think them two are a lot better than Emerson Royale, and Emerson as a centre back, sights that I don't think anyone should be able to witness. So I think we've got to sell him. He has to go, and if it's 15 million, if it's 3 million, we're bickering between. I think Mr. Daniel Levy just got to get rid of him.
If it is those fine differences. But what do you make of his time at Tottenham in general? Because there's some really bad bits, wasn't there? Look at Anfield, where he was at the State for, was it 3 or 4? I think at least 3 in a row of those goals, which led to defeat, not quite as big as it looked at one point, but still a defeat at Anfield. But also he had some really good moments where he pocketed, different, top athletes, Manchester City, etc. comes to mind. So what do you make of his time at Spurs?
It's very, very mixed, his time at Spurs. He's had, as you say, he's had great moments. He's had pretty terrible moments. I think it was just a really, really weird signing, because at the time that we signed him in the summer, Barcelona only bought him. I think it was rumoured. They got him back in the same transfer window, and they only had 20 days, and they just moved him on instantly. It was very, very weird transfer. I didn't really see the need for the transfer at the start, because no one ever thought of us going into him. And then out of nowhere, Fabrizio Romano said, "Here we go, we're signing Emerson Royale." And I was very, very confused. I think his time at Spurs, it's been very mixed. As I've said, I don't think he's not really the caliber of player we need. I'm sure Ange knows that as well. And it was frustrating last season when he was playing centre back in some games where PF plays like Ashley Phillips, who was sitting on the bench, a natural centre back, and then we're playing Emerson Royale, and it was not good. He's not cut out for the Premier League, I don't think, and I don't think he's any good. But I mean, the one thing that has going for him is that I think the Serie A is a bit of a slower league. Is what I make of it. It's a little bit slower paced. I don't know if he would be an AC Milan starting right back. If he is, then fair enough to him. I don't know how he's done that, but Um, I mean, I'm sure he would add something to AC Milan somehow as a backup right back, probably. But I think his time at Spurs has not been the best, and it's these sort of transfers like an Ndombele or a Brian Gill where we spent a lot of money on them, but you just got to cut your losses and move on. It hasn't worked out, and you got Daniel Levy trying to get every single penny he can out of it. You just got to get rid of him.
Yeah, I think so. I do agree. Do we lose a utility player though? Because that's what Ange has obviously used him as, throughout the season to kind of step in anywhere. What do you think?
I don't think so, because if you said to me that Romero freakishly is injured and Dragusin can't play or whatever, I don't know, or but as a right back, Pedro Porro is injured. I don't know if we are using a utility player, because I think we have great cover in those two positions. Romero and Dragusin at centre back is a lot better than Emerson, and as a right back as well, I'd much prefer Porro and Jed Spence. So I don't think we are using a utility player. I think we're losing a player that will probably get 0 minutes for us next season. I can't see us getting any minutes. That's if we keep Jed Spence, of course. I'm hoping that they are planning to do that, and if so, then I can't see him getting any minutes anyway.
I was going to say, do you see Jed Spence redemption happening? But will it work out though? Because obviously we know Ange wants the right mentality and attitude for the dressing room. So can you see it working out? Obviously, majority of us hope it does. Will it work out?
I hope it does. I really do. I don't know if it will, because it's obviously too soon to say. I hope it will. I saw a source earlier today that told me he actually trained with one of the assistant coaches by himself, a little one-on-one. I don't know if that's true or not. So that's what word was going around. And if that is true, then that shows you they probably do have plans to have him and see what he's all about. I think he's been very impressed. I've been really impressed with him. I'm sure some of the coaches and maybe Ange has been impressed with him, because he's been the best right back over those 2 pre-seasons. And people will say, "Oh, it's only Hearts, it's only QPR." That is true, but everyone's good. You got to start somewhere, and I think he adds a lot to us. Obviously, as our fullbacks, they get really high on those 2 flanks. He's got goal and assist against Hearts, and that's something fullbacks need to do. They get high, they add attacking options. He does that, and I think he's a great backup to Pedro Porro. And I really hope he stays and has a bit of a redemption arc under us, because it's been one of those Daniel Levy transfers. Because Daniel Levy done the transfer, we all know it took absolutely ages to get it over the line when it happened, and we was all a bit excited because he had a great season with Nottingham Forest. That season we just signed, the season we signed him, and it's been a shame he's never reached that, because I thought a lot of him, and I think under Ange he can be a great right back.
Do you see it as cover for Porro, or can you see a strange circumstance where you could even compete minutes for Porro? Is it just a case of we have Europe as well, and it's just handy to have 2 strong players in every position? Because I think that's the case.
You do need to have 2 strong players in every position. We all know with Manchester City, I'm not saying we're going for the league, but we all know Man City have won the league 4 years in a row, and that's because they have 2 brilliant players in every single position. They have literally a player gets injured, they have another world-class player walking straight into that position. That's why they dominate the league, and that's why it's so hard to get near them in the league. That's why it's hard. That's why they've been dominating the Premier League. And so I think if we're going to get anywhere near the top 4 battle or get anywhere close to winning the Europa League, you need to have 2 players that are quality in every position. And I think he'll be cover for Pedro Porro at the start, but if he does get more game time in the Europa League, does play a bit more, then maybe it can be competition. Who knows? I'm sure if it is Jed Spence is playing, I'm sure he will be. I'm sure he'll be covered.
Luca Fagna says Werner and Kulusevski are not good enough. Kulusevski is better suited in midfield, and Werner can't finish. Also, Son is on decline. We need 2 wingers this window. Fair enough. I think you speak for a lot of people. Pokey says Spencer's learned a lot from on loan. That's certainly what it looks like. Stephen says, so a hypothetical question, more Son Werner on the left and Johnson Kulusevski on the right. Are we happy with that? What do you think for yourself, Lois?
I don't know if I'm happy about it, to be honest, because obviously Kulusevski is a weird topic, because when he was on loan with us, on that loan with an obligation to buy, he was on fire, and there was a point where we was playing Son, Kane, and Kulusevski, and that was a really, really good front three because they were all getting contributions, and Kulusevski was really good for us. And he obviously last season was quite disappointing from his standards. He didn't get as many goal involvements as I thought he would. If he can get back to what he was when he first came to our club, I'm happy with playing Kulusevski on the right. He can be seen as being better in the midfield, someone said, because he hasn't got that pace about him on the right that maybe someone like Werner, Son, or Johnson has. But he's quite one-footed as well, which is not the best quality to have. But I think he's a good player, and I want to keep him. People saying Kulusevski isn't good enough. I don't think we can say that yet. I think you've got to give him this season, and if he doesn't produce this season, then I'll be happy to sell. Johnson does need to improve. Last season he was a bit of a hot cold player. One game he'll go to having 2 assists, and everyone thinking he's really good. The next game he would not do anything, and everyone going he's rubbish. Then he gets another goal, he's good. Gets another bad performance, no one likes him anymore. He's a very hot cold player. I think maybe one winger this window would cut it to me. I don't think we need 2. Son is on decline. That's natural, but I think
I'd say a striker and a winger. I think that look better.
That would because I think the striker is a lot more of a priority than a winger at the moment.
Yeah, I'd agree. If let's say we brought in Neto and Tony and left back cover as a window overall, I'd be very, very happy with that. Whether we sell with Charleston, I don't know, and because you really want. I always think that if you're in Europe, and I don't know about the Conference League, but certainly the Champions League, Europa League, you need two good strikers that you can turn to, whatever that may look like. Obviously, one is usually better than the other, but you need to be able to, because you can't have one striker playing all those minutes, and in case of an injury, and I think you need 2 strikers. Do you put trust in Dane Scarlett? I don't know. But at this moment in time, there's a possibility of Richarlison being moved on. But there was last summer, so I don't know what it looks like. I feel that these rumours aren't really going away. I mean, Lois, obviously, a little bit better than me as admin for the Scarface First page as well in terms of the Richarlison rumours and not going away. But do you think that this is the time to put trust in Dane Scarlett? Obviously, the club have moved on. Troy Parrott, they've deemed him not good enough, not ready, whatever that may be. But we just don't give opportunities, though, do we, really, to young players? Can we change that with Dane Scarlett?
We can. I think Dane Scarlett's a good player. I think we keep blowing him out and then recalling him. And then I don't know what happens with that. He's a good player. I think we need to start give trust in our youth players, because otherwise they're never going to get anywhere, and they're never going to become the player that they can. Players like Harry Kane, as we all know, come from trusting him when he was a really young age, trusting him, throwing him in the deep end in the Premier League, and look how that's turned out. You've got to give him the opportunities. I think Dane Scarlett is a good player to give an opportunity to, and I think eventually Will Lancashire as well, because I think right now, to be honest, if I had to choose a young player to bring in to the team and get minutes, it probably would be Will Lancashire, maybe as well as Mikey Moore. I think them two are the 2 players that have got to get minutes next season. They can get minutes. I know someone commented saying they'd rather see Mikey Moore on the left in the Europa League than Timo Werner. It's fair. Mikey Moore, I think there was a closed door friendly yesterday, maybe, or the day before, where they played, I think, like Japan team. I think maybe like Japan under 21s or something. How Mikey Moore got a brace, which shows you how the talent he possesses. Yeah, that's the comment there from Peter, I'm sure. I think Mikey Moore is a player that a lot of people want to see more of, and I want to see more of him as well. People will discuss who would you rather see, Mikey Moore, Timo Werner, Mikey Moore, Manuel Solomon, and a lot of them will say Mikey Moore because he possesses a lot more potential than those 2 players. And why would you waste it on a player like Timo Werner who's going out on loan than a player that will be with us for a long time?
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I think also last season when we got that supposed injury crisis, we know we got most players injured in the league. That is true. We had that period, didn't we, where we lost to Chelsea, Wolves, West Ham, that kind of Aston Villa at home. That period where we were playing Emerson Royale centre back and playing skipper. It's a bit later on the season. We're playing players out of position. That is when surely you give opportunities to youngsters, like whoever it may be, because otherwise they're going to get the opportunity. Because unlike when we got knocked out to Fulham in round 2 of the League Cup, we don't necessarily give youngsters to start. We're still playing players at Emerson Royale that fall the team and Højbjerg, which is the second team, rather than giving youngsters a start. And that's the problem. And that's why we're behind several clubs, whether it be Chelsea, Man United will copy Mania. I don't know, but they give people a chance. Newcastle injury crisis, they give Lewis Miley an opportunity. That's often how it comes. There's nothing wrong with that, but we're not going to know, are we, Lewis, if we're going to get the next Harry Kane because we're not giving them the opportunity. That could be Troy Parrott, and we saw a lot of promising signs on loan. It could be Dane Scarlett, could be Will Lancashire, quite highly. Yeah, Will Lancashire. I think we need to give them more opportunities. But the player I want to touch on is Brian Gill, because this is a post from Fabrizio Romano today that said he's got his heart set on a move to Genoa, and personal terms have already been agreed. The players' camp have informed Tottenham that Brian Gill wants to join Genoa at all costs, and negotiations between clubs over a deal is still ongoing. Brian Gill, is it the right thing for him to move on? I assume this is permanent. What went wrong as well?
I think we touched on it on Monday. I think I remember saying about him not being strong enough and not having the quality to deal with the Premier League. I think I remember saying he was technically a good player. I think he is. I think he's technically he's quite a tricky winger. He's got pace. He's got trickery. He's got that quality about him. But I think coming up into players that are a lot stronger physically, a lot more they're a lot more able than he is. I just don't think he needs to as people say, bulk up a little bit more, gain a little bit more muscle. He just never did. He stay quite skinny, and in a league like the Premier League, that's not going to get you. It's not really going to get you anywhere. And I think he's still 23 years old, and a move out to his home nation will probably do him the world of good. I think he could probably do really well in Spain. I mean, as where we signed him from, a lot of people were saying he's really good. Technically, I think some people say he had the shades of Lionel Messi, and I don't know what they were thinking when they said that. But maybe in the Spanish league he can have shades of Lionel Messi. Probably not. But I think he'd be a good player in Spain.
Yeah, again, I don't think he's a player who's been given many opportunities. A lot of Spurs players go, he's the worst signing ever, that kind of thing. But he hasn't been given many opportunities. When he hasn't set the world alight. I do understand and respect that. I don't think the Premier League's right for him now. And he had an opportunity to bulk up. I think that's what it is. And I don't like to mention it too much. But he lacks that physicality, and he's easily pushed off the ball, goes down for a foul too much. And just needs to be... If he was taught how to win a foul, and I just had to be clever, because he has a low sense of gravity, quick movement. He can be a good player, and he has good footwork, but his crosses weren't good enough. His passing wasn't good enough. There's a lot that needed working on. I think he'll flourish in Spain, and I do hope so. Before we wrap up today, pre-season game tomorrow, I want to touch on. I tell you what we won't, because we discussed Richarlison. We'll save that for another day. We'll go straight to the game tomorrow, where we take Vissel Kobe, 11 a.m. Tomorrow UK time. Is there anyone you want to see in that game, Lewis? Anyone that you think they've been good so far? They haven't been good. I need to see more of them. Names that spring to mind for me are Will Lancashire, Mikey Moore, Jed Spencer. Really want to see more of. Also players like Kulusevski. Can they do it next season? I want to see more of. Is anyone different for you?
I want to see more of Archie Gray, and I'm saying that as he's played 2 games at centre back, and we all know he's not playing centre back next season. He's a natural number 5 as well. He's a natural central midfielder or a DM, defensive minded midfielder. He's got to play there for me, because I think he's played brilliant at the 2 games at centre back, but that's not what we bought him for. We bought him to play in the midfield, and I need to see more of that. I want to see more of Pap Sarr as well, because he only had those minutes against QPR. He didn't play against Hearts. So I want to see more of him. It would be nice to see Vicario, because this will be his first pre-season minutes as well. It would be nice to see him, because he wasn't involved. He was on holiday during the first 2. I do want to see more of maybe Son and Brennan Johnson, because they've not been involved. They haven't really done much in the first 2 games. James Maddison as well. I want to see more of these players produce the quality we know they can. Because I'm watching them, and the youngsters seem to be doing a lot better than they am, and I'm a little bit worried and concerned about that, because I don't. It seems like the youngsters doing a lot better job than the Madisons and the Sons, and I'm a little bit concerned why. So I want them to go out there and Son and Maddison, Brennan Johnson, and show show us what they can do and show us why they deserve to be started.
Should you judge a player for you, Lois, in your opinion? There's no right or wrong, I don't think. Should you judge a player in pre-season? Obviously, Son and Johnson there. I mean, from what I've heard as well, and what you've been telling me, that they haven't set the world alight in pre-season. But a lot of fans get really carried away, don't they? And they get really concerned with players in pre-season. On the back of that, often want to sell them, and some of the opposite, and go that pre-season apparently is totally irrelevant. So I think it's probably somewhere in between. But where do you kind of stand?
I think it is somewhere in between, because pre-season to me is just about getting minutes back into your legs, getting used to playing a lot more minutes.
Gelling the team, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously a lot of our players just come off a 2, 3, 4, whatever, how long holiday where they've done no football at all. They've been relaxing like they should be, but getting back into pre-season, need to get back into that, like back into playing loads of games, recovery, or training, all sorts of that stuff they haven't done for a little bit. I don't think you can look at pre-season, just a few games against a Hearts or a QPR, and say, oh, this person deserves to start, or this person should be sold. You can't do that in pre-season. I think it's good to see players like youngsters doing really well in pre-season, though, because obviously to them, being at their young age of 17 or 18, 19, whatever, to see them doing really well against like other professionals is really good to see as well. I don't think you can judge, though, too highly of pre-season. I think you just got to make a mental note of who's playing well, who's playing bad, and when it comes to the start of pre-season, the start of that normal Premier League season, you can maybe see what they've done pre-season.
Yeah, definitely. The only I will touch upon, and I do agree with you, I hope that we haven't signed Archie Gray as a centre-back when we've got Van der Ven, Romero, like I said, he's just not going to get any minutes. It's just no point if that was the case, and it's just a wasted talent, wasted potential for me. It has to be in that midfield, even if it's cover at fullback, which he has apparently done for Leeds. But we have to see. We certainly paid a lot for him, that's for sure. But before we finish for today, Lois, what's your prediction for tomorrow's game? Score prediction.
Very hard to say. I'm sure it'll probably be another like there's 1-11 in the first half and there's a totally completely different 11 in the second half. I'm sure it'll be something like that. I think it will probably maybe be in the bouts of 4-1 to Spurs, maybe. I just want to see minutes get played by players I want to see start as well. Players like Vicario get back into playing football, because he didn't really play at all. He didn't play at all in the Euros, so he hasn't really played like fully fledged football match for ages as well. And I think it'll be about 4-0, 4-1 to Spurs. Something like that. I will probably concede by a mistake of maybe playing Oliver Skip out of position or something. Obviously, we need to get more fully fledged players like centre backs back in. I think Ben Davies may get some minutes of centre back, which he can do. He's played the centre back there before. I want to see Archie Gray in the midfield. If I see Archie Gray at centre back, I will be a little bit annoyed, because it's another game where he could be played at midfield where he's not.
Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking 4-1 as well, but I hope that's the case. As long as we win. Thank you very much to everyone who's watched. Obviously, this is something new in the evening. Obviously, we do the Monday show, but this is different. It's a bit of a Spurs news update. So let us know in the comments below. Very, very keen. Even if you didn't like it, we do want to hear your opinions in the comments below, whether to take this forward, continue doing it, do it more regularly. Please do get involved in the comments before we do officially end for today. But if you're new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button. It's free to do so if it's your first time here. It does help the channel grow. Even if you don't watch that much of the content, that's absolutely fine. And if you're not a Spurs fan, we have a Premier League show coming back, which comes back in August. I'll announce the date in the next couple of days as well. And we do, of course, do England content when they play major tournaments, friendlies, etc., Nations League. But Lois, thank you very much for coming on. Tell people where they can find you and what your role is within the Scarfy Spurs Talk team.
Well, my personal account is the Romero 17 season on Twitter or X, whatever you call it. That's my personal account where I just give my thoughts on any news that comes out maybe and say what I think of it. But my role in the Scarfy Spurs Talk as admin is that I keep people updated. Obviously, make a lot of posts about news and or updates during the games or whatever. I've really enjoyed it over the last few weeks. And as I say, it's quite a lot. As I say, that and you said it before, that we use tier 1 sources, something that is kind of hard to do, and something that I'm quite happy that we're doing, because I'm not a person that wants to be giving out loads of news that isn't reliable. Because people have done it before, and you don't like thinking that things are going to happen, then it doesn't. And we don't really want to. We really care about giving news out to people and it's reliable and it's true.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much, Lois. And you're spot on. And I created Scarfy Spurs originally as a channel, and obviously it expanded from then, because it really came across me I set up a Twitter account, Scarfy Spurs, to promote the channel. But initially I formed a Spurs news page because it used to annoy me, the amount of fake news we used to get. And I thought there should be a page where you get just news from your Alistair Gold, your Fabrizio Romano, your tier 1 kind of core sources. Not that many, probably 5 or 6 that cover Spurs. There isn't many, Michael Bridge, etc. But that's the kind of passion behind it. But Lois, you've been an asset, so thank you very much, and keep up your great work. But yeah, thank you everyone as well for listening. Do get involved in the comments below if you're listening after with your thoughts on whether we should take this forward. But for now, a massive come on you Spurs.
Working as a manager at Celtic Park when we met you. We picked you out, you shook us up and turned us around. You've turned us into something new. And Postecoglou, you know that we believe it when you say you're gonna change it. And Postecoglou, we're the mighty Tottenham and nobody's gonna stop them. Oh, he looked so fine in blue and lily white. And then he said to me, I'm from a land down under. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh. Postecoglou, baby. Postecoglou, oh.